Hello, welcome back to Think Rugby podcast, episode number, fuck knows what episode it is, but we must be in the 30s by now, near enough. Live selection, that is going to be our main focus for today, along with some URC coming to the crunch near the end of the season, who's going to make the top 8 into the playoffs. We'll speak about that later in the episode. How are you, Andy? How's your sore head?
I am absolutely fucking shattered, Zav. Yeah.
For context, Andy was just on tour. Was it Belfast or Dublin you went to?
Dublin. I played at Old Wesley even, which, for those that don't know, Old Wesley RFC, they play at Donnybrook Stadium, aka the Energia Park. And before the RDS was built, that was where Leinster played their games, so that was some experience. And then on the Saturday, after a couple nights of heavy drinking, we played North Kildare in Maynooth, and that was, for anybody that was there, they would have seen how fatigued, not to say that I was anything special, but yeah, everybody knows what happened there that day.
Close game then.
We actually won that game. We lost to Old Wesley, but we bet North Kildare. And we were far less fit to play, should we say, than the other team.
Probably you didn't give much of a shit, to be fair, with your hanging got a sore head. Oh well, that's good. Oh well, that's a nice little interesting fact for those probably very few or very seldom Leinster fans that we've got left on the channel. That's a nice little fact for you that Andy played at the Euro ground many moons ago. So there we go. Excellent. Okay. So first topic for the day: line selection. Unless you've been living under a rock, you would have seen British and Irish Lions. Andy Farrell announced his captain, Maro Itoje. First of all, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I've been very, very open. I don't rate Maro Itoje, but to a degree, I could see why, with Doris being out, you needed to pick somebody. Who else is there, you know?
It's somebody that, you know, like, I think Itoje was always a given to start. I wouldn't have started. I would have him on the tour, but I wouldn't have started him, I don't think. But he was always a given. He was been starting, and okay, Doris would probably start if he was not injured. But having said that, you've got Ben Howell knocking the door. But besides the point, you've got Maro Itoje there, guaranteed starter. He is an experienced player. He can't be a nuisance, and on his day, he can be very, very influential on the game. So well done to Maro Itoje. You are the British Lions 2025 captain for two of Australia, which, I mean, I cannot wait for. It's going to be absolute dynamite, especially with Australia, the kind of position they're in just now. They're getting better, but are they good enough? I mean, they went and seen past England, absolutely dominated Wales, lost to Scotland, just saying, but they are in a very good position just now with some cracking talent coming through. Kof, Joseph Suali being one of them. It's almost like Israel Folau reborn in a way, maybe less of the bigotry comments, nevertheless. Okay, so line selection. I mean, like I say, there's been a few players missing out, which you could argue why aren't they there, but at the same time, I think overall Andy Farrell's probably got it right. It looks like, to reference Joe Schmidt, the Australia coach, it looks like Farrell's went for a lot of combinations. What I mean by that is they've got a lot of front row combinations. So they've got like an all English front row going, an all Irish front row going. It kind of looks the same in like the kind of second row department, and also the back row department as well. Like I say, it's very, very, like the pack is very dominant with Irish and English players, bar a very, very few, i.e. Skoo and Ferguson. And then in terms of Wales, they've got Jack Morgan there, who, I mean, again, probably a given. And I would say, it's a hard one to tell, but I think he's probably got to start Jack Morgan, being honest. I think I've just got a slight suspicion that he's got to start Jack Morgan, which is very, you can't say that about, well, there's only 2 Welsh players on that tour, and I doubt Thomas Wally will be on that matchday squad come the real tests, but he'll be a midweek player, I would say. Like I said, there's a lot of players unlucky to miss out. I mean, does anyone spring to mind for you? I've got a list down here, which I'm just looking at just now, but if anyone springs to mind just now, Andy, who would you say?
Well, there's three Scots anyway that immediately come to my mind, maybe 4. Darcy Graham is one of them. I think he's very unlucky to be picked ahead of what seems to be a lot of folk are saying Mark Hansen, but I think it's more Duhan van der Merwe he's been picked over. We can come back to that. I also think Tom Jordan has been quite unlucky. For the scrum half debate, I mean, I prefer George Horn, but Farrell was never going to pick him. It was going to be Ben White because he's played for Scotland for the last few seasons. And then, like, my rugby Patronus, Hamish Watson, should have been picked.
Come on, Andy, come on, what's going on?
Did you not see? He destroyed Connacht for the full 80 at the weekend. Edinburgh would not have won that game without him and his try. They wouldn't have had the bonus point. Come at me.
One game's not going to one game is not going to change Andy Farrell's mind. He
made the tour 4 years ago. Bite me.
Deservingly so, but that was 4 years ago. He's barely played for Scotland. Even for Edinburgh this season, he's barely played up until like the last maybe month, maybe.
Yeah, and that's why Edinburgh have been so bad and then they've been so good, because he wasn't being played and then now he is getting played. But I think that's enough on Hamish Watson. We should. Who do you think was unlucky to miss out?
So, seeing how I'm not heavily biased, I've got a list of other international players, not just Scottish players. So, I would reckon one player, which would maybe a bit of a hipster's choice, would be Sam Underhill. Just based off his form this season with Bath, he's been an absolute monster, and he tore Edinburgh to shreds just a few weeks ago. Dylan Lake, the hooker for Wales. I mean, he was within a shout, and then I seen it's 2 Irish and 2 English. Like I say, looks like Andy Farrell was choosing combinations in the kind of departments, like front row department. I've got Prendergast, but I'm saying that quite loosely. It's just because I'm so shocked that he's not been taken. I mean, I can completely understand why he's not been. He's very young, still 21 odd, and he's not the finished article. Lots of talent, but experience-wise, especially in a test, I could see Australia try to target that, especially going forward, by punching through the middle. Darcy Graham, Ben White, Rory Darge. I mean, Six Nations wasn't phenomenal, but I think with a team with the quality of like Lions players, Darge would thrive under that. He would be left to play his own game, i.e. Jacqueline, just chop tackling, just focus on those kind of things. Dempsey, I mean, if he didn't get injured, I think he would probably had a run of games and managed to get in the mix. Matt Fagerson, you could kind of say hit or miss. Maybe just the back row department is way too strong for him to be kind of mentioned. Then you've got Courtney Laws and Chandler Cunningham South. Courtney Laws was one name that was floated about back in autumn, but now Cunningham South, his name has been kind of toyed with in some of the rugby podcasts I want to mention for clout reasons, but his name's been mentioned as well, which I fully agree with. But he's not made the squad either. Out of that kind of list, I would Owen Farrell as well. I've got to say Owen Farrell, but again, we'll discuss that probably slightly later if we can be bought, if we remember basically. But I would say out of the whole list, I would say Darcy Graham. I'd have Darcy Graham instead of you said Duhan, but I think Mark Hansen, solely based off the fact that Duhan, like I say, on his day, maybe it's not good enough for the Lions, but on his day, he's the best winger in the world on the pitch, one of the best players on the pitch, unstoppable. Also the fact that for Duhan,
yeah, you're saying he's one of the best wingers on the planet
on his day.
I'm assuming you would include not just attacking but defensive work as well.
I would say no. I'm okay. You've got me there a little bit. Let's just say attacking. His defensive work's a bit of a flaw. Nevertheless, you've got fuck you. You've got Mark.
Yeah, now who's looking silly with the Hamish Watson comment? Yeah, that's right.
What, Hamish Watson played for 1 month and all of a sudden he's Lions quality again? No, get over yourself. Right, Mark Hansen over Ben White. Who would you take who would you take Watson over? Like, being honest, like who would you take Watson over?
To be quite honest, I wouldn't. Yeah, that's just a thing. Jamie Ritchie for me would be the. If I was to take anybody in the back row, Jamie Ritchie would be it for me, just because of how good he was in the Six Nations and the amount of turnovers he gets for Edinburgh this season.
No, Again, turnover.
I mean, you can't do a degree like pick one back row player. I wouldn't even say he would get into the test team, but certainly the midweek team, he does, in my opinion, deserve to go on the tour.
I reckon looking at the kind of players that have been taken, they're looking at a lot of big, heavy ball carriers. But well, you've got buddy Ben Errol, Josh Van der Fleer, Jack Morgan. They're a little bit bigger and like a bit more bulk in terms of, and like I say, ball carrying players. So are they going for a bit of a power game against Australia? Could that be a tactic of them? Even the second row, like some McCarthy, mind blank, Itoje, McCarthy. They picked no Welsh boys. They picked Scott Cummins, but I think that's maybe more for the line out. He's quite a good line out operator. Scott Cummins. Extremely shocked George Martin's not there. Ole Chesham, he's on tour, another big second row player. So, like I say, I think they're kind of going for a bulk. James Ryan, did he get selected? I think he did. And I think why? I know he did. He did mine. And I was like, why? Because I don't think he's played that well for just kind of Ireland in general. I know you can't just base it off country, but maybe for Leinster he's been absolutely unstoppable. But I just thought that was maybe a bit of a biased pick from Owen from Andy Farrell there. But nevertheless, the show must go on. It's not my biggest gripe. My biggest gripe would be Hansen over Darcy Graham. But that's me. I'm going to finish it at that. Overall, though, I'm not overly disappointed with that Lions squad. Like I say, I'm quite happy there's 8 Scottish players that made it. 3 in the forward and 5 in the backs. Almost an entire back line, which is quite remarkable. 2 predictions.
Well, I think they'll probably beat Argentina at the Aviva. I think that's plain as day to see. Although with the way in which the fixtures land, I think it could be something like a 6-day turnaround for all of the finals and stuff. So that could really devalue the tour before it even gets started. You've got all these players tied up in club rugby and everything, and it's the finals. It's effectively test rugby. You cannot do a 6-day turnaround at that level. So yeah, I still think, albeit there's all this baggage with that game, I think they'll beat them, and I think they'll. You'd be minded to say 2-1 victory minimum against the Wallabies, but you can never truly write off what Joe Schmidt has got planned.
I was going to reckon 2-1 victory. I generally think it's probably the second game. I think Australia win once they kind of suss out what the Lions are about. I missed one player when you mentioned about top 14. Bloody Jack Willis. He's not been picked, and again, but it'll be because you're not going to pick an abundance of players in the top 14 in France when they can't join up till later on. I think Kinghorn's there because he will be a test starter, maybe second or third test, possibly might miss the first one until he's up to speed. I feel, but definitely second, third test, just due to the nature of if Toulouse get to the final, that is, or progress on in the top 14 in their competition. But you anticipate that Toulouse will go all the way.
So what do you make of like some of Andy Farrell's picks have been more for like versatility players? So for instance, you've got the likes Marcus Smith who's been picked. So by the look of that, it's been right. Okay, for fly half, you've obviously got Finn Russell, Finn Smith, and then at 15, you've got Kinghorn, Keenan, and then Marcus Smith is to like fill the gap for both of those bits. Now, I think fair enough. I'm minded to say for 15 anyway. I'd rather have Freddie Stewart.
I'd rather have Marcus Smith at 15, but I reckon Marcus Smith will be on the bench, being honest, because he can cover both. Like I say, versatility. Here's one for versatility, who I thought you were going down this avenue. Elliot Daly.
Well, part of me thinks he's not as bad as a journeyman. To call him a journeyman would be a bit of an insult, but
A little bit.
he has won stuff. But then another part of me thinks, his best playing days, went past. because they're now
I've
looking at.
just
Yeah, well, you've got like Feo Boboso, and although he isn't playing for England much more, you've got the
he's
likes
injured.
of Hassel Collins.
There's England's blessed with wingers. I mean, Cockney Singer, Will Muir. You've mentioned Haskell Collins, Radwan. That's just out of a few teams. You've got, oh my goodness, this honestly Ibitoy. You've got from Forbears. You've got so many. I generally thought, in terms of Lions quality, surely Elliot Daly isn't up there. And again, you could maybe have picked Freddie Stewart if it's 15. You would have covered because Freddie Stewart can also play on the wing. And then especially if you're thinking of Australia, they'll have Joseph Suaalii under those high balls. You're going to need somebody with a bit of height, i.e. Freddie Stewart, to try and match that. But that's where Kinghorn comes into play. But you maybe want, I generally thought you maybe want a couple options out there. Hugo Keenan, yeah, he's good in the high ball. He's defensively sound, but I don't think he's anything special, especially to match like Suaalii, like pound for pound. I would much rather Kinghorn there or Freddie Stewart just based off the height. It's a high ball, man. They've got to try it. I'll put money on just now. They've got to try it. Australia will be pinging those balls nice and high, testing the lines. Especially, probably make the big. What I anticipate will be a big lines pack. Make them shift and move about. Try to tire them out.
Yeah. On the subject of that, though, I mean, I feel although Finn Russell is more than likely to be first choice starting fly half, I think that's why as well I had very little hope for. Maybe it maybe fits in with how George Horne was never ever going to be picked. Darcy Graham hasn't gotten picked over Doohan because Doohan, very good player part of the system, albeit not defensively. George Horne and Darcy Graham are two very similar types of players. They play heads up rugby rather than the system.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
as we said off camera, the only player that is immune from criticism of playing heads up rugby has got to be Anton Dupont.
Aye, aye, yeah. You got a good point there. To be fair, I think Darcy Graham can get off with it as well because 50-50 with him actually like creating something out of nothing. Being honest, George George Horn as well though. He can't just turn it on. I mean, maybe that's why he doesn't get played for Scotland because they want to. Well, doesn't play as much for Scotland compared to like Ben White and whatnot because they maybe want that kind of structured kind of play. To me, you want a bit of excitement, and you probably need it, especially on a Lions tour, international game, anything. You want that bit of excitement so somebody can turn a game just like that and change a game, especially when you might be up against it and you need a bit of inspiration. That's why Dupont's the best in the world, and he is the best player in the world at the moment because he can do that, and you can play structured, you can direct a team around the park, but then as soon as it's on, bang, he's away. Unstructured rugby, and he brings up the other players around him, and he makes them better players in that unstructured kind of fashion. Unstructured kind of fashion. So, yeah, that's a fair evaluation from yourself, Andy. There, but unfortunately, Dupont's French. He's not a British or Irish lion. But aye, how did we segue into that? Derail into that? I've completely lost my train of thought.
Yeah, I don't know. We can move on though to this weekend's fixtures in the URC, which
Yeah.
is trying to think of R or S. No, it's R there. Very, very tasty. So, this past weekend, like, I don't know what the fuck happened, but a lot of interesting things happened. This weekend, at Saturday, I think it's a 25-8 kickoff. Leinster host Glasgow at the Aviva. I have to say, I'm not too optimistic for this one.
You know
No, I mean,
why?
Hugh Jones returned last week, or this past weekend rather, in the game against Benetton. Glasgow lost 33-7. Now, this game against Leinster is rumoured to be the return of Sione Tuipulotu, something that I think everybody's looking forward to. Unfortunately, in the last month, Glasgow's form has been pretty fucking poor. On the contrary, although Leinster lost the semi-final in the Aviva against Northampton, they also went and bet Zebre 76-5. I'll repeat, 76-5 at home against Zebre. Yeah, it was.
What I will say there, Andy, is that I was watching the parts of the game, and Zebra looked like a semi-professional team. They were fucking shit, absolutely shit. Like the scoreline was what fully reflected the game. I can't lie.
Yeah, well, I mean, as I say, Glasgow welcome back Hugh Jones, and Scott Cummins started, albeit at 6, and they had Max Williamson in the second row. Very, very welcome returns, but yeah, Glasgow conceded that first 2 tries early on, and they just were like, whoa, what the fuck has happened? And I mean, to me, it's clear that Glasgow aren't finding the same kind of magic that they had at this point last season. These results wouldn't have happened, and certainly if they did lose, like they've lost games earlier this season, they would come away with 2 losing bonus points. But that's not been happening.
Do you reckon Glasgow's like proper bottled it? Because I see they're third now in the league, and if they were second, they've got a home semi-final. It's obviously still off to play for. There's still a couple of games left in the season, but they've got to go to bloody Leinster for goodness sake. Like, are they going to even salvage anything from that game? Like, they'll go for it. Obviously, top 8 is secure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but top 8 would be secured, so they're definitely in the playoffs, into the quarters. But are they going to like really push for that home quarter final? Do you think, or do you think they'll maybe settle for an away one and kind of rest the bodies going into the knockout stages?
They can't get absolutely like nailed like they did the last time when they played Leinster. They cannot
No,
get nailed. They must go back. They must try and improve, and they need to give these boys that have came back more minutes because they need to get the game time, for lack of a better reason. I think the whole thing with Franco Smith and Scotland and everything will wait. There's a lot more background noise, and to be honest, they're being a victim of their own success. Last year was a remarkable achievement, and this year I was like, yeah, they should still be in the mix. I don't expect them to win the URC again. It'd be phenomenal if they did, but no, just
be
the
tricky.
squad depth in particular is getting hammered. I mean, yeah, you've no Dempsey, no Ferguson. You're asking Scott Cummins, fuck's sake, to play 6.
Awful shame. Like, what do you think of Edinburgh though? What about their chances? Because they're just sitting out just outside the top 8 just now. I think they're 10th maybe.
Yeah, so I have written down the table from 5th to 10th. I'll put that on the screen just now. So Stormers on 50 points, Scarlets on 48, Benetton, Munster and Cardiff all on 46, Edinburgh on 44. Edinburgh are at home after beating Connacht in, not convincingly, but they did enough to win with a winning bonus point, so 5 points. Ulster are coming to Edinburgh. It's at the Hive, so big thing. That is to help with the performance.
Yeah.
Ulster have lost 4 of their last 4 games in all competitions.
Yep.
Ulster are out of the running, so mentally they're like just playing for pride.
Right.
So my hope is that Edinburgh, with all the things I've just said, run through this bonus point and hope that other results go their way. It's the last round of the regular fixtures for the table, and in my opinion, it's a very tasty proposition for this weekend. Edinburgh play on Friday night. It's potentially a do or die for them and Sean Everett, but the other games that will affect them is the Stormers against Cardiff, the Sharks against the Scarlets, and Munster against Benetton. If Munster were to beat Benetton, they're on a points difference of -76. And if Edinburgh win with a winning bonus point and Cardiff lose to the Stormers, like Edinburgh and Munster qualify, Cardiff and Benetton don't. It is definitely doable,
Yeah,
but it is a long ask.
a long ask, and it's never nice having to depend on other teams, their like success or demise, in order for you to qualify. But I mean, needs must at this stage of the season. Edinburgh did not get off to a good start, but they've had a late kind of resurgence in a way, and they've definitely properly improved a lot. So here's hopeful. It'd be nice to have two Scottish teams in the knockouts into the quarterfinals. It's been a while. It's been a while since that's happened. Edinburgh's just always seemed to be quite off the boil, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But it's good to know that Glasgow are definitely, well, they've kind of secured a spot now. It's going to be like, okay, is it going to be an easier quarter final, and there's going to be a home advantage in the quarter final as well. But as for Edinburgh, just take what you can get now, mate. Honestly.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, as I said earlier, the form of Glasgow in the last month since they lost to Leinster, it's been pretty poor. Edinburgh, on
Yeah.
the flip side, it's been
Yeah.
all steam ahead, you know.
Well, they had a good result against Connacht. They 30 points to 22 or something along the line, so they did have a good positive result against there, which is a good kind of boost and kept the season alive. So there's everything to play for still, and it is just go for it. Absolutely, just go for it. No, nice one. Anything else to add?
Don't think so.
I'm happy. I'm happy. So that's everything for this episode. Thank you very much, guys. Let us know in the comments who you think was unlucky to be left out the Lions squad. Yes, down below, just where Andy's pointing there. And like I say, what was it? 15 Irish, 13 English, 8 Scottish, and 2 Welsh. So I think that's pretty fair. And be honest, maybe a few more Scottish lads, but I'm not going to complain with who went. So congratulations to all the Scottish lads. Congratulations to Screw, Fagerson, to bloody hell, Cummins, to Cummins. Congratulations to Finn Russell, to Piloto Hugh Jones, Duhan van der Merwe, and player Kinghorn. Do us proud, guys. I'm sure we'll speak more about the Lions more in depth as we get closer to the time. Not long now, though. Days are counting down, and I cannot wait for it. It's going to be such good fun. Same with the URC. We look to Glasgow, and hopefully get some sort of result against Leinster. And good luck. Hopefully you see Ulster, and again, keep fighting for that top 8 spot.
Just very quickly, Zav, if there's any sponsors out there that want to send me and Zav out to Australia for the Lions tour, please do get in touch. Just get in touch. There's more than one way to get in touch.
Thank goodness you never. Thank goodness I never mentioned what I was waiting to say. I was waiting to say this podcast was sponsored by XK Coaching, so I think I'll kind of keep that one quiet for now. No way, I'm sending this out there. Not yet, anyway. No, follow us on TikTok, follow us on Twitter, follow us on YouTube, and get stuck in, get us for some more, and we'll deliver some more content for you in the future. Thank you very much, guys. There's Think Rugby podcast. I'm Zav. This is Andy Moat. See you later.
Right.